So there are some verses in this week's Torah portion of Nitzavim, towards the end of Devarim in Deuteronomy, that draw me back to one of the only subjects I ever talk about. From one version, another. What?
Did you start recording?
Yes.
I mean, I didn't ask it to record it.
No,
I think
it
it
said
just
it to
does it.
record.
It said it. It said it.
Okay, I just want to see this.
So, yeah. So this is an angle of approaching a subject. We even talked about it 2 weeks ago. Should I stay or should I go? The theme song by The Clash. Thank you for whoever. Jason, thank you, Jason, for telling me it was The Clash. So we talked a little bit about that, but there's some more interesting elements that come together in this week's Torah portion that just make this, so much more of a challenge. And they are this verse at the very end of chapter 29, which says, Hanistoros laHashem Elokeinu, the hidden things are for the Lord our God. Va'niglos lanu ulvanenu, those things that are revealed are for us and our children, ad olam, forever. La'asot et kol divrei haTorah hazot, to do all the words or things related to this Torah. So it acknowledges that there are some things that are hidden and some things that are revealed. So there are two basic ways the commentaries approach this dichotomy. One is that what it means is other people don't know. You know. You've done things that other people don't know about, but other people don't know. So that's what it means by the hidden things are to God. In other words, God knows what you're doing always, even the hidden things, but the community can only respond to the things you do that are revealed. So courts can only try you for things that there are witnesses to or there's evidence to. They can't try you for things that they didn't hear about or there's not good evidence for, no witnesses for. So that's one way of understanding this phrase. But there's another way of understanding this, which is in keeping of just, stuff I think about for the last couple of years, which is what it means by nistar and nigla. Nistar means hidden and nigla means revealed. There's some things that are hidden from us. There are some things that are revealed to us. God knows about the hidden stuff, and you have to deal with the revealed stuff. This is our process. We move around the world knowing almost nothing. We know almost nothing about how the world works. We know almost nothing about what's going to happen. We know almost nothing about what did happen. We don't know much, and yet we are meant to navigate the travails of this world. We can only work with what's revealed. So for instance, for several years now, I've been marveling at the fact that it seems like we believe in reincarnation. As a Jewish people, we believe in reincarnation. Do you know how hard it is when you're talking to children and you want to give them an impression of what's going to happen after they die? Do you know how hard it is as a Jew? They want to be reassured everything's going to be okay. And you say that to them, everything's going to be okay, God loves you, etc. You have no idea what's happening. I mean, honestly, you have the barest minimum. You have like a few poems of information about what's going to happen afterwards. We don't know that much. We just don't. We have a few. There are books that'll tell you in 1 hour after you die, this happens. 2 hours after you die, that happens. 3 hours after you die. The likelihood that stuff is literally what happens is so slim. This stuff is coming from highly, highly mystical sources that don't, their trade is not in literal superficial data. That's not what typically goes on the mystical levels of Torah. And that's almost where all of it's coming from. And so what'll end up happening is you put something together. There are books like that. There are people who will tell you, they'll look you right in the face. They could wear a lie detector, 100% pass the lie detector test, and they'll tell you everything that's going to happen to you after you die. They believe it, but there's no way they could know it. They can't know for sure. But one of the things we supposedly believe is that we are going to be reincarnated. When you imagine what's going to happen to you after you die, is that scenario front and center? Is that the front and center scenario that you think about? If your kid asks you what happens after you die, you say, most likely your soul is going to go into another body and it's going to live another life. And that's probably going to happen many, many times. We don't do it. We tend not to do it. And for whatever reason, I used to be bothered by it and try to poke it, like poke people about it. Nobody really cares. Fine. And they don't really care that they don't know much about what's going to happen after we die. They have very general pieces of information, but they don't know very much. And if a kid says to you, what happens after we die? The best answer, the most truthful answer is, I don't know, but I trust that it will be good. I trust God. I can tell you what people say. I can tell you what people say about what's going to happen. I can tell you that there's something called the world of souls, and there's something called the world to come, and there's reward and there's punishment, and Hashem loves us, and the righteous will get this. And I can say these things, but it's like I'm answering a scientific question with a song by Bob Dylan. That is essentially what's going on. Blowing in the wind.
Oh, we are.
Right. So there are so many things we don't know. And so what's the response? I get it. I hear you, because that is our situation. This seems to be acknowledging it. There are hidden things, and God will take care of the hidden things. You don't need to know about it. Don't worry about it. You don't have to worry about it. Hashem is going to take care of it. The minute somebody says that to you, all we do is worry about it. That's like like a pink elephant. Don't think about the pink elephant, and then all you do is think about the pink elephant, but you don't have to. You are not going to need it for anything important in this world. You know what you need? The revealed stuff. The revealed stuff. Just work with the revealed stuff, follow the Torah, and work with the revealed stuff. That is all you need to do. That's all you need to know. You don't need to know the hidden stuff. So this is another path in that verse. And again, it's really a couple verses in Nitzavim is about free will. And it sort of emphasizes that you're going to get a choice to choose life. You're going to get a choice to choose good and choose life. How does that work? If you're a philosopher, I have friends who are philosophers. They are Jewish theologians. They write books about this stuff. And there's all sorts of stuff to write about it. In the end, it's mostly, I say this with the utmost respect for them because I revere them as scholars, but it's mostly gobbledygook for the average person. When they're talking about how free will works, you end up having to resolve it with sophisticated theological principles and philosophical principles, possibly scientific principles. I mean, I listened to lectures by Rabbi Dr. Gottlieb, where he's talking about answers to some of the big questions. So one of the questions is free will and God's foreknowledge. So how does that work? And he ends up giving you answers that are incredibly sophisticated. it's possible that something in the future is the cause of something in the past. There are things like that. And so, in other words, this is a topic for which there can be intelligent conversation, but in your life, an application in your life, this pretty much is not it. This is not it. Your experience is that somehow you have it. I don't know what it means that I have free choice, but I have it. And I'm going to exercise my free choice. There may be situations, according to some thinkers, some commentaries, where you really don't have free choice anymore. Paro, according to the Rambam, according to Maimonides, at some point lost his free choice at a certain point. Now, he was not informed, you have lost your free choice, don't even try anymore. But he apparently lost his free choice. Alcoholics, at least according to the theology of Alcoholics Anonymous, believe that at some point in your addiction, you lose free choice. You no longer have free choice to drink or not drink, and you need some kind of divine involvement in order to get you to sobriety. So you're not going to always know. You're not going to know, is this the moment? There could be, looking back, a moment where you think, this might be one of the most significant moments of my life. I made a choice on such and such a date. If I had not made that choice, my life would have been so different. But when I was making that choice, I wasn't thinking, it wasn't like angels were whispering in my ear and saying, this is it, buddy. This is why you came here, like at the Olympics, and the gun's about to go off, and you're about to make that kind of choice, and you're running at full speed. No, you don't know. See, sometimes we look back and we go, that was the moment when I made a difficult choice that changed my life forever. And it could be, I look back at it and think it was again, it's not so easy to know this, that we don't have criteria to know these things for sure, but sometimes it looks like that. So it's even with choice, even with applying free choice, we don't always know if I even have it in this situation, or I certainly don't know what the result of it is going to be in a situation. I just read an Agatha Christie book whose name I cannot remember. I listened to it actually on a drive down to St. Louis and back. And one of the characters in the book had tried to commit suicide, and he hit a tree branch on the way down. He's standing on a cliff, and he's gonna just fall down into craggly rocks, but he hits a tree branch, which breaks his fall, and then he gets injured. The Coast Guard comes. Bottom line is they save him. And he was so furious that they saved him. He was so furious that they saved him. And so people were trying to give him hope and build up his life afterwards. And wonderful things did happen after a while. But initially, they're trying to build up hope, and they're saying, you don't know why you're alive. You don't know what you're here for. And it ends up, several things happen, but one of them is he's a person who is able to exonerate somebody. If he wasn't there, nobody would have been able to exonerate this person from a murder charge. And, so there are, sometimes you're being asked to make a choice. Live for what? Live for the future. The future is bleak. I don't see it. And somebody's trying to say to you, you don't know. One moment it seems like that, the next moment it seems like this, and suddenly your life is turned around, and this is another one of those things. We don't know. A lot of times we don't know. We're left to wade through a lot of challenges without a lot of information. And yet, at the same time, we're told, make good choices. It's like a Kafka story. I'm not going to tell you what it's about. Make good choices. I could use some information. Sorry, no information. But remember, life and death relies on this. Make sure you made good decisions. Well, what's a good decision? Tell me what to do.
The right decision is the good decision.
Right. So here, at least in this first verse, where it says that the hidden things are for God and the revealed things are for us, what it seems to be assuring us is you don't have to know it. It's not that you don't need to know it. Leave that to God. This is a huge part of living with trust, of living with faith. You figure out what it is that you're supposed to be doing. Everything else, you just leave it to God. Are you in charge of the Israeli army? No. Then leave it to God. Are you in charge of who's going to win the election? No. Then leave it to God. Are you in charge of the effect of plastic bags on the climate? Now, you could take action. We all are expected to take action towards those things we value. But you don't need to feel anxiety about it. You don't need to feel anxiety about it. In other words, I will take action. Why? Because that's what he wants me to do. He wants me to follow through on those things I think are right and lead towards life. And he wants me to stay away from those things that are wrong and lead towards death. So I'm going to occupy myself with those things. How is it for sure going to turn out? I don't know how it's going to turn out. And it doesn't matter. That's not my business. That God is responsible for it. He's taken care of it long before you were here. He's going to take care of it long after you're here. He actually built the system and maintains it and pays attention to it. You do not need to know. What you need to know is what is revealed, and what is revealed is an instruction manual and what you see in the world. So again, this is a review of ideas from different directions that we talk about a lot. Here's another thing. So we had that verse, we had the verse about choosing life. God places before you life and death, and eventually asks us to choose life. That's in this week's parsha. And then another verse that's in this week's parsha is in chapter 30, where it says, it's not in the heavens that you should say, who will go up to the heavens and take it for us? And we will listen to it and do it. It's not on the other side of the sea. Who will go across the sea and get it for us? And we'll listen to him and we'll do it. It's very close to us. It's in our mouth and it's in our hearts to do it. And so that suggests that there's not that much. When I said before that we don't know very much, there's not an expectation that we should know very much. This sounds like it's contradicting some very basic Torah principles where we value Talmud study and learning and memorizing all sorts of laws and things like that. So it sounds funny to say this, but the truth is you are not going to be judged on how much you know. If you put it all together, you are going to be judged by what you have right now. And in other words, you're going to be judged by where you are on the line of growth. And you're going to be judged on what you have at your disposal. And then you've got to make good choices. But you don't have to know something that you don't know. You don't have to know something you don't know. Now, it could be that you're supposed to ask somebody. That could be. It could be that you're supposed to ask somebody. But if somebody would say, well, how could I be a good person? I can't be a good person because I don't hardly know anything. that does not seem to be how we are judged. It seems like we are judged by taking where we are and what we have and making good choices with that. It's not, you're not going to get at the end of time, we're told they're going to ask, did you set aside time for study? But they're not going to ask, how much do you know? They're going to ask, did you do honest business? They're not asking if you know business ethics. How much business ethics do you know? So this is another thing that sort of fits that previous thing about the hidden things and the revealed things. That when it comes to what we are judged on, we are going to be judged on what we already know and what we have to work with, and then the choices we make given that. So that is part, this particular phrase, it's not in the heavens or on the other side of the sea, but it's in your mouth and is your heart, is one of these verses. Each one of these, all three of these verses, the hidden things are for God, the revealed things are for us and our children. And God places before us life and death, good and bad, life and death. And then eventually it says, choose life. All these are so deep and they have so many applications, but when you work them together, this is what you see. When it comes to living a good life is going to be about the choices that you make. And the choices that you make are going to be informed by how much you know in that moment and what assets you have at that time to help you. And that's it. It's not a Kafka story. In a Kafka story, you would be held responsible for what you don't know.
What kind of story?
Kafka, like the trial, or one of these Kafka stories where somebody is somewhere and there's this trial. He's on trial, but he doesn't know what he's on trial for. He doesn't know what he's on trial for. And yet he might die because of it. You would think, by the way, that Rosh Hashanah is like that. This is good preparation for Rosh Hashanah, what we just talked about. Because you would think that Rosh Hashanah is a Kafka story. If you read the liturgy, read the Machzor. If you read the Machzor, something like Unasana Toka, listen to Leonard Cohen's Who by Fire, which is based on Unasana Toka. So there's an emphasis that there is a judgment happening, a tribunal, and it is potentially life or death. You may die based on the decision of this tribunal. So imagine you have somebody who's never been to a synagogue before, but he's very open, very curious. He's reading the text and he's sitting next to somebody who's been there for years, and he elbows the guy next to him and he goes, "Excuse me, am I on trial? Are we on trial?" And the guy goes, yeah, we're on trial. And then the guy goes back to reading, and then he elbows him again and he goes, "Is it possible that the result of the trial is that I could die?" Yeah, that's part of it. Goes back to davening. And this guy is like furiously reading now, trying to see what's going on in these pages. And then he gets to a point and then what am I in trial for? Only you know. What do you mean, only I know? Only you know. No, not the rest of us can't know. Only you know what you're on trial for. And so you're like, so you're trying to write up a list of all the things you could have done, and what to. But the thing is, you're the last person on earth that should be writing that list, because you are so biased when it comes to judgment about yourself in either direction. It's very hard for you to be an objective reviewer of what's going on in your life. You're the last person that should be doing it, which means you're not going to do a good job. You are not encouraged to get other people involved in this. In fact, it's not a good idea, usually not a good idea, to get other people involved in this, which would be one way to get a more objective list, but it's not a good idea. They don't even know, a lot of the stuff that's going on. How would they know? So in the end, you're in this kind of Kafka moment, and it looks like your life is going to depend on something you can't know. And that feels Kafkaesque, and that's why it can't be true. In other words, it's a good motivator. It's a good motivator, but it's not going to be the case. And this is an assurance from this pasuk. Don't worry. You're going to be held responsible for the stuff you know, not for the stuff you don't know. It could be, if you find out afterwards that you transgressed Shabbos and you didn't know it, that you might have to bring a korban. You're not going to be put to death over something that you didn't know. That's not going to happen. It's good motivation to think that this moment could be something like that. But that's not how it's going to work. You're the hidden things, that's for God to take care of. You just deal with the revealed things and do the best you can with them. You need to use your God-given talents, wisdom, whatever you have, and the tools and the information that you have now, and make the best decisions now with that stuff. Next year, you'll probably make different decisions and regret the decisions you made here. And so next year, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, you'll look back and you go, I regret those decisions, and now I will make better decisions. And that's how it's expected to go. It's expected to go, even for the most righteous people. It's expected that you're going to grow and you're going to make better decisions as you live and as you practice and as you gather more wisdom and information and skills, that you're going to make better decisions and you're going to grow. And then you'll look back at the ones from the year before and you'll say, I regret that. I want to let go of that. That was the wrong thing to do, and I'll move forward. I won't think I'm a terrible person because I did what I could with what I had. And if I didn't do with what I could with what I had, I recognize that I did things that are wrong, and I'm going to try to change that and let go of it, etc., and move forward. But so that's that thing. So we have these three things working together. Some things are hidden, some things are revealed. Some things are here, some things are there. And what I do with the things that are here and are revealed, those choices are going to be what counts. Again, when we are on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, then we're going to take stock of those and do an inventory. The ones that we did well, we're going to try to do them even better. The ones we didn't do well, we'll try to change them and let go of them. Okay, I look forward to learning with you guys. I'm still assuming we're going to learn Tuesday night. It's the night before Rosh Hashanah, but whatever. If you can do it, if people are cooking and you can't do it, it's Wednesday night.
Wednesday the 2nd.
It's Wednesday night, right? So we'll meet Tuesday night.
Yes.
If you can make it, you can make it. I'm very grateful to learn with you guys tonight. Be well.
That's 2
Take
weeks.
care, Rabbi.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Yeah,
It's-
today's only the 24th.
It's 8 days from now.
Oh, you say.
Be well.
Thanks, Rabbi. Take care.
Be well, Steve. Be well.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
That's right. It's a week from Wednesday.